Hello, g'day, good morning, good evening. Thank you for listening. This is a medical cannabis show and I respect the law and I hope you do too. Happy 2024. Yay, entering the new year. And it's going to be a great year. Today's show, I have a good study to talk about on skin. All different various types of skin disorders they go through, hair growth, it's aging. It's a pretty cool study. I'll just touch on that and put the link in the description. So if you want to go through it a bit more in detail, you can click on it yourself. I'll do that in another minute. I'll give a few more people the opportunity to arrive so they can ask questions. And we go through the little slide thing on the screen. Oh, here's some Lego stuff. They've got some, at least a dozen Lego kits that show you the fun that you can have with it, I suppose, because the world's going legal and everyone's getting ready for it. So it's, yeah, good opportunities everywhere. And Lego's capitalizing. Yes. It's like, good morning, Jono. How are you, mate? Must be pretty early for you. And just a slide, I suppose, on bone fractures, how you put oil on it and it can improve bone growth. It stimulates it. It's pretty amazing stuff. All right, well, I'm going to get into it and start. There's not much to go through. I'll show you what we're going to go through. There's not a great deal. Where do you want to see this one? There you go. That's it today. Not many. Most of them are Lego. One study, I think, and that's it. So there's not a great deal. Actually, I think there's a bit of news first. Oh, what's in store for 2024? So this says, I'm not going to go, I'm just going to skim on this. This is what this website reckons some stuff that's going to happen in 2024 in relation to the cannabis, medical cannabis around the world. So there's a rescheduling happening in the States, which is going to happen in April, they reckon. And that's going to open all sorts of other opportunities. Just to go through all that. The link's up the top if you wish to read it in detail, which I'm not going to, because there's a lot here. What can I pick out of it? Oh, yeah. The industry that's going to be targeted is infused products, because they still dominate the list, like edibles. And another thing, CBN for sleep improvement will be happening. People will be just putting CBN into sleep products and then claiming they got the bomb, and they have, because it's the CBN that's working for them. Response. Well, this just goes on to say more about the rescheduling of how it's going to be, all different other doors that are going to open up in relation to business. All different types of things can happen now because of the rescheduling. Same within Europe too. Germany will become the largest market of adult cannabis with the decriminalization bill passing. Czechoslovakia is likely to follow suit with a bill for legalization earlier this year. And also it's likely to happen in Portugal. Momentum of legalization. Good on them. Held in March, a few months' time. What else does it say? In preparation, right? I think there was a couple of that's right. Here's another point. As the newest generation of drinkers reevaluate their relationship with alcohol, the popularity of cannabis beverages is going to come into effect So it's going to take off too. You can get some of them even in Australia, in the local bottle though. I don't think it's THC though, it's CBD. Still, they started, and this is a big thing on California, how they got problems. And that's it. Oh, and then it goes on to conclude, to say that there's going to be all sorts of new markets, legalization, everything to change a lot of things. But they haven't talked about education, because there's all these sorts of doors opening, and there's people are just bluffing the next people that come in, and then all these bad stories are starting, and that's why it's going haywire. So it's a shame they didn't say that they're a little bit focusing on education as well, putting money aside to do this or something. Oh well, can't have everything, eh? So stop sharing. Yeah, g'day, Jono. Australian government money grubs. Yep, well said. It's putrid. That's why I give up with the Australian government. Hey, Main Green, how you going, mate? Nice to see you. Nice to see some pics. Would be good. See how things went. Jono says, who cares, says they are holding the monopoly on weed. Yes. And that's why they're bluffing everyone. They're not doing anything about education, is because people can be bluffed and bullshitted and just cop that. And that's what they've got to do, because they don't know any different. So it's not getting promoted one single bit. And I can't really spread the word. I try as much as I can. So, yeah, good luck, Australia. Main Green's laughing. It's true, though, mate. Good luck, Australia. They'll bloody need it. They're so closed-minded and they don't really care. It's the best way to put it. It's all money, just a money thing, mate. Not like us connoisseurs. We know what the difference between the good and the bad is. Anyway, back to showing some slides. I'll take that off, because you just want to see some cool Lego sets. Like, I was amazed at them all too. God, they're blooming cool. Righto. Here we go from the start. Oh, not that one. Hey, 2024 to green 2024. Happy New Year. Oh, that's the conclusion of the study. The skin study. There you go. That looks pretty nice too, I thought. Bit old for the Merry Christmas, but it still looks pretty nice. It's in the festive season. That's a bit better. Imagine soon when they'll have fireworks that will actually look like that. Because they got different shapes in fireworks now. They just need to do a little bit more before you know it. Woohoo! This is that bone fracture study. So it's groundbreaking. Penn State University has found potential cannabinoid potential in fracture healing. So they've used CBD and CBG, and it holds promising results for bone fracture patients. So that's pretty cool. Just would topically put it on at different levels, and you go, what level do you put it on? Well, that's what this study shows a little bit later. It tells you how many milligrams that they suggest using, and if you use too much, like in hair section, you'll it can take your hair away if it's like more than 10 milligrams, I think it is, because it interacts with the endocannabinoid system in our body, and it works pretty good. But they reckon that, yeah, I'll just get to it. Instead of quoting figures that I might get wrong. There, that's the hair follicles and the receptors that interact. Hey, Mountain Man, how are you, my Mountain Man friend? Thank you for the people's support. I really appreciate that. I really do. And Kenna Jobs, how can you cool folk make some money out of the rad stuff that we all enjoy? Know that works. This is just an art thing I put in. I thought this is pretty nice. And I like the little bits and the little, oh, there it is. Like how it goes in, and it keeps going and going and going. I don't know, I'm just always like that. But wow, because you can sit and like look at it for ages. It was a little picture within a picture. Just thought it was pretty cool. And this is, if you're a graph artist, you might be able to graph is taking off in different places and they need it because not very many people are good at doing graph. And I like the graffiti. This is a permanent marker cultivar that Leafly is named their 2002-3 winner. Very nice. Nice tight. Colourful. Can't fault it. Could be a bit bigger though, to be honest, actually. That might be one with a virus. And because remember, you can finish your buds with the virus in it. They won't get more than 2 fingers wide from my experience. I struggled, I've done it quite a lot. And yeah, 2 fingers. So that's a bit of a telltale sign. There's some could be some problems. Here's the drinks that they were talking about earlier. And this gives a milligram. And a lot of people I've seen now, they're putting it as hemp soda as an example. This isn't, but that's what they're calling it. But it's still got THC in it. So it's, yeah, it might be, I'm not going to talk about that bureaucracy of it, but, and folks in North America, this is a website you can go to get some canna jobs. Here we go, Lego time. Woohoo! Look at that, isn't that blooming rad? See, they are the legit ones. They're not people that have made up ones. Because I thought, this isn't real. Someone's just gone and photoshopped or done something or other. But they are. You'll see the shapes are pretty similar to what it should look like. I'd love to know where you get them from. I'll see if there's any questions or anything first. Oh, there's a few things that said. Main Green says the Chinese make more of cannabis than the US. Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it, mate? It's like comfrey here. Yeah, in Thailand it is. It's going to say, yes, capitalise while you can, hey, mate. Hey, g'day, Mace. Nice to see you, brother. That will suit me well. Got broken ribs. Just, you're kidding. I've got broken ribs too. I got them about 4 weeks ago, and I've only just now been able to cough. That's pretty funny, mate. Wow. It sucks, doesn't it? Oh, well, we won't talk about ourselves too much, but yeah, I've been using the topically, putting CBD oil on 2 times a day on it, and it seems to help. I started doing it about 2 weeks after because I read this study, and it seems nearly instantly, well, it helps with inflammation, but nearly instantly I felt a different recovery state afterwards, I suppose. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Happy healing, mate. Jono says, maybe you should learn how to ride. Yeah, I'm sure it was from that, eh? Mate says, Jono, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's no good. Yes, e-scooters can be violent, can't they? Especially ones that go fast. It's no good. All right, back to it. The Lego. You beauty. Check out this Lego fun. And when you see where you can get it from, let me know. Because I'd love to get some of these Lego kits. That was the historical. This is the Cannabis Research Lab. And you can see, look at it. Look at this in here. That's blooming awesome. Hang on, that's misspelt there. That's pretty cool. Anyway, let's look at the positives. This isn't too frequent, this thing. It says it on the box. Next one is a dispensary. Looking pretty funky. Oh, look at the people they label it. Long-haired hippies. How about the blooming... That's not what it's about. Anyway, good on for doing it. Cannabis Marketing and Branding Agency. Herbert, I wonder what language that is. German? Next, cannabis cooking show. Sure, all this stuff will be coming into, with the world legalizing it, there'll be all sorts of cool things like this happening. There's so much opportunity for us folk. That language. Oh, and here's the activism. Yeah, all our kids, they won't know what all this stuff was about, but we all know about it, all the hassles and legality problems and stuff like that. How cool is that? Looks like that might be the first one that they put out, because it's cannabis marks. Ah, well spa. Won't that be a funky play? That goes hand in hand too, doesn't it? Having the nice oils, kicking back, relaxing the body. It's actually a really good one for businesses down the track. When it becomes legal, just open up one of them. Bang. Probably always. Oh no, cannabis extraction and processing facility. Oh, unlegal chunk. That wouldn't be in the sun. That would be in the factory. Those thinking it would just perish in, or degrade in the sun. Very nice. Actually, I was seeing something about that ethylene is a better extraction than CO2 because of it's not as harsh on the terpenes. You get a better result. Something I was reading through the week. Cannabis technology company. Technology? Oh, this for all those folk that just love money, I suppose. Technologies, is it? Oh no, there's maybe apps and suppose things. I don't know. I'm not real good with the technology business. Next, cannabis testing lab. Oh, the other one's a research lab. This is a testing lab. Geez, they need some good ones of these, don't they? For all the different mismatching numbers and fake this and that's going through. How's that? The pot looking like a bit wrong. Oh, here's one of the first ones again, just cannabis. See, it's pretty small because that's the Lego brick. So the leaves, they must be built like that. Next one, product manufacturing, cannabis product manufacturing. This is to be huge down the track with all sorts of everything in it. Because like the sleeping products, all sorts of everything. Remember they had research lab, had that one before. This is a bit different and a bit old school. Even the leaves look not too bad. Bit of high definition in them. Haha, missed. Snicko missed. The Cannabis Festival. There'll be a lot of them. They already sort of are now without the openness of it. Actually, no, they're not with all the bloody dogs in Australia that they got. They got in ACT, they got testing tents where you can take your stuff to and test. And now they've got a place downtown where you can test your other drugs as well. Take them in there and see if they're clean or if they got dirty stuff in them. For free too. Oh, and that's it for the Legos. This is the, that's the conclusion. Now I like this too. This is a bit of history. I like the history stuff. This is from World War I, and this is some Italian POW prisoners in Hungary. You can see them up there. There's one at the back. Italian prisoners of war cultivated and Hungarian cannabis plants. Pretty cool. Got some short ones and some tall ones. Very good. It's all our lettuce. Nice. And now it's the skin study. It's the only thing to go through. Let's see if there's any questions or anything. Say any stuff. It looks cool. I have, oh, Jono says what? I have buds forming on my leaves. What's that mean? Buds. You have to elaborate on that one, Jono. And I'll get to the skin study, which is so important. It's got so much relevance. Yeah, can you elaborate on that, Jono? And I'll show you this and we can talk about your thing, and then that will be it. Hey, it's Green Bicycles. Hello, Green Bicycles. Nice to see you, mate. I've got this skin study now to talk about, which is fascinating. So it's pretty new. And it's cannabinoids and their receptors in skin diseases. And the skin diseases, well, the therapeutic application of cannabinoids has gained traction in recent years because cannabinoids interact with human endocannabinoid system in the skin through topicals, as well as you induce it, but topicals that directly happen straight away. A large body of research indicates that cannabinoids could hold promise for treatment of eczema, psoriasis, acne, pruritus, and hair disorders, skin cancer, and hair growth, regrowth of follicles that's your hair that's going. You can regrow it again. So you don't have to go to those blooming clinics and pay top dollar. So now let's go through some of the stuff. I'm not going to go touch on this, but I'm only briefly going to touch on this too. So it just shows you that if you want to get into it, you've got your endos inside us, your phytos, which are on the plant, and then your synthetics, which they've banned in 3 US states at the moment, which I would stay well and truly away of. So if you ever see these types of abbreviations in the study, they're the ones that you don't want to use. I wouldn't be going anywhere near them because they banned them. That's that photo I showed before, about the skin hair follicle. So it goes and shows you, it talks a little bit about each disease. So eczema, dermatitis, contact dermatitis. You can read that if you want. Then it goes into pruritus, how the cannabinoids work with it, and psoriasis, and how it's much to give it. There's acne as well. Not that I'd suggest it might be hard for teenagers and stuff, but and hair growth. This is, I'm going to stop on 2 of them. Hair growth, well, you can regrow your hair. And I'll stop on one other, but it talks about in a pilot study using CBD showed variable effects on both the elongation and hair cycle of hair follicles, human hair follicles. So they started with a low dose, 0.1 micromolars, favoring affecting hair growth pathways, and higher doses up to 10, reducing hair shaft development through activating the TPRV. So if you have higher doses, that suggests that the hair won't grow. It can do the opposite and get rid of it. But in low doses, it can grow. So in a case, 35 patients put the CBD oil on once a day, averaging 3 to 4 milligrams of CBD oil per day. So there's a number for you. And reported significant hair growth after 6 months with no side effects. But I wouldn't be using anything stronger because it'll go the opposite. But remember, this is just a study. So this has only worked with these few people, but it suggests that it can work though. And I was amazed. I think it's just bloody good. And I really appreciate the numbers that they've given to, because not many studies show numbers. And another cool thing, the skin cancer, how it works well with skin cancer, which is this. So the THC and CBD interact with the CB1 and the TPRV receptors, and it goes down and shows these pathways of the cells. And so if you've got cancer and you put that topically on in the skin cancer, it can go down and stop the cell from just growing, and in its path just stops it. This second pathway is apoptosis, where it eats it. It just actually autophagy eats itself. Apoptosis is cell death, so it just dies. It can actually kill it. And this one where it can eat itself, and then metastasis. What's that again? Angiogenesis is where it grows new blood vessels. Metastasis, I don't know, something. But these are the processes to show that it actually does work through these channels. Back to the other one. So you can read it yourself if you want, but that's the summary. And skin aging. So those, you can get rid of lines and things on your face, as an example. So the aging process of properties of CBD has been demonstrated with several studies, and both CBD and THC in the range of 0.5 to 2 micromoles stimulated cell growth. Isn't that amazing? Whilst significantly decreasing senescence of the cell. So really slowing it down of its age of its death. Fantastic. So that's all I'm going to go on about. Oh yeah, and this is the clinical trials of them. So the study type, the patients' amounts that they did, what type of treatment they did, the outcomes, and the study results. So it doesn't really give any numbers of the milligrams in range, so I'm not really going to go through this. But it's a pretty much positive outcome on the whole thing. What's this conclusion? Oh, that's right. The potential for the use of cannabinoids in various sectors appears to be limitless, presenting a wide range of opportunities. That's why this year, every manufacturing company is going to get this into it. CBG, CBN, THC, they're all going to be into it, let alone all the terpenes, which is in the essential oils, which they've already... I'm not going to show it. Yeah, which is, yeah, the entourage effect. I think that's it. Yep. That's it. Come back to here. Yeah, nice to see you, Green Bicycles. I hope you're doing well, mate. Happy New Year to you. Buds forming on my leaves. Oh, crazy mutants. Your buds forming on your leaves. It's because of that might be your photo period cycle. You can actually have a indica plant which goes on 12 hours. If you photo it under a 15-hour light on and 12-hour off, 15 on and 11 off, it'll still flower. But you get these long-looking foxtaily buds, and they grow slow. So I wonder if you have that scenario at the moment. But if it's under a 12-12 cycle that you're getting those buds forming on your leaves, maybe you've got a ruderalis in your gene pool and it's reached its certain age and it's just starting to show its expression and its flowering cycle now. Could those two things be possible, mate? Yeah, I hope Green Bicycle's doing all right too. There's actually Green Bicycles. Someone was asking on the show last week here, I hope you're doing all right. Have I heard from you in a while? So it's, yeah, everyone's looking out for you, mate. Looks like Jono Who Cares mightn't be around anymore. That's a shame. I like diagnosing things. That's the only two things I can think of off the top of my head. Oh yeah, he says it's a 12-12. So could it be ruderalis in the gene pool? Could you have those? Could it be a cross with that? Because that would explain if it was, is it continuing to bud too, or is it only just doing little ones? Like, is it entering its flower cycle, or is it just showing a flower expression while still in its vegetative state? Actually, you said it's on 12-12. So it is flowering. Oh, but you're getting them out on the leaf. Oh, whereabouts in the leaf? Like on the stem, like the petiole bit? Is it at that apex there? Because I've had Gorilla Glue 4 that had some weird growth where it used to grow the leaf first and then it would grow a branch out of the leaf. It was really odd. It's the only type of, I've never seen that since, that type of expression. It was cool. Jono says, I'm here, just been busy. I don't know what that means. Super Silver Star. Oh, yeah. Very nice. Is it a bad expression that you get, that your buds are forming on your leaves? Because I think that, I don't know, it could be maybe an advantage in some ways. It's just showing more places where it's going to flower from, and the more times it produces those bracts, you know, the calyxes, the more it just keeps spreading from that, because they grow and they grow on top of each other and keep growing. So it might have more places to possibly give a heavier yield. Johnny, who cares, says it in the 4th week of flower in the center of the leaf. Ah, in the center of the leaf, eh? Oh, well, that might, you know, the big fan leaves, there's this, with the plant, it's source and sink cells. So it has a sink cells, which are the big fan leaves, and it draws on its nutrients to feed its source cells, which are the littler ones that are growing. So possibly if it's in the middle of one of those fan leaves, it's sitting in the middle of a nutrient pool. So it might develop faster. Notice if it develops faster, because it wouldn't have to transpose any of the liquid. It's in the flowing through further. just something to think about why it might be, that might be an advantage, mate. He's going on to say normal formation and on the leaves as well. Well, that's a bonus. You got a hyperactive flowering plant that's expressing everywhere, not just in the nodes, it's expressing on the leaves and everywhere where it can. I think that's cool, mate. You can grow those leaves a lot bigger and then just trim around the leaves and there's an extra bud point. I think that's bloody excellent. See how you can work mutants to your advantage if you realize what the mutants are and if they're doing good things for you. Yeah, I'd suggest really working with that one, mate. Flower it out. I'd take a cut now at week 4, and then you can re-veg that one, just in case it's a winner, because you might find you're getting an extra 10 or 15% yield difference to any other plant, because you still might be able to get those big fan leaves with buds on them that are still 2 fingers wide. If you know, you put your 2 fingers behind the buds that are on those leaves, it might sag down a bit, but they still might be able to grow, and yeah, you might be able to get another 10 or 15% bonus. You have to name this mutant. You'll think of a cool name. They name themselves. But yeah, I reckon that's cool, mate. Thanks for sharing that. Mutants can be advantageous as well as real poor. Just depends, like, on the expression, and you might be on a winner. Yeah. Yes, cool. Sounds good. Yeah, I reckon. So you'll have to get some photos, and keep a good week by week photo thing on what's it's going, and document it so you can refer back to it later, and yeah, put that into the mutant section. And then at week 9 you can see how big it is, and it should be all ambered up and ready to take off a fan leaf, and they wonder how they're going to senesce too underneath the buds. That might be interesting. It'll probably just still grow out of all the blades of the leaf. Probably will die back, and then you'll just be left with the bud in the middle. So it might make it real easy for trimming at the end too. I reckon that's a bloody excellent one, mate. Well done. Nice, Newton. Yeah. Well, is there anything else anybody would like to ask? I'll show you what is happening next week. Maybe it's this one. Yes. This is the pathogens and microbes study that was done. Challenges to cannabis production from pathogens and microbes. There was a recent study done on that, and they've got a stack of photos that are so awesome to identify from. So I thought I got to go through this. So that's really all that I've got, as you can see, for next week. There's not much at all. So I'll probably go through this, and hopefully there'll be a few questions, because some of these topics are pretty amazing. They're just ones that everybody is going to come in contact with. If you grow, you will contact. You won't think, oh, look, that's a rust, or it might be an iron deficiency, or some, look down here, magnesium. There's reasons behind all this, and I'm going to go into detail about the mottling and the different ununiform effects that it's. Yeah, it's really cool. So I won't spoil it. But there's some really good photos of. Geez, which one is it? I want that one. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. So, oh yeah, you will document it, and yeah, good on you, mate. Thank you. That would be well kept. Jono says you have a question on IR. How much should I give my plants in flower? IR, infrared radiation. So that's at about the spectrum. That's at the opposite end of the spectrum. Infrared, IR. That's up about the 700 nanometer. So that puts out heat, IR. How much you want to give that at the end of the night for 5 minutes, 730 nanometers, is the Emerson effect, where the cells in the plants see the horizon as being red, and they think that they're being put to sleep. So that's the red light, which is what the infrared, I'm presuming, is, because I think that's a high 700 nanometer without going into my notes. Do you want me to go into a detail? Jono, let me know. I can pull up my slides. In that photosynthesis, that's spectrum area that I got. Hey, Aaron Woodley, how are you, mate? You doing well? 12 to 1. 12 to 1. 12 to 1. Sorry, I don't know what that means. Hashtag E is a typo. I have a question. Oh, okay. Yeah, and they're red. Yep. Yeah, it's at night is the big bonus of that. I think it's 730 nanometers, and infrared is a little bit just below that. I'll pull up the slides for you. Righty. Plant science. What is it? Photosynthesis. Yeah, I'll share so you're not looking at the blank page. And what was the question again? Oh, infrared light. So I'm looking at the spectrum. Action absorbance spectra. That's what I'm looking for. There it is. Oh, absorption and action spectra. So that's the wavelength from between 400 and 700 nanometers. That's what we see. That's our visual wavelength. That's a lot where the plants recognize. And your 700 is up here where the red is. So infrared, this is, to explain, this is the amount of reflectance that comes off photosynthesis. So in other words, it's how much they absorb. So there's a high amount up here. And these are the different wavelengths that it comes under. Oh, let's get into heavy detail. Chlorophyll A, B. You just want to know the wavelengths. All right, I'm going to, the infrared range is, no, I'll have a graph that will say it exactly what it is. There it is, infrared. So it's above your 700. So that's really your bit that you want to put it to sleep with. So your UV will stimulate a lot of the secondary metabolites, and you can boost your production of your cannabinoids and your terps through UV stimulation. And then it wants to grow. And these are the different reflection, the absorption, and transmission graphs where you can see how much it absorbs, how much it reflects, and how much it transmits. So how much it absorbs, it comes down into the infrared range down here, and you're going on to here, and you go across under 30%, it actually absorbs. So it's an extremely low amount, but it's very, very beneficial to put the plant to sleep. I hope that explained enough. Let's go into a bit more detail for you. Yeah, here's the energy that comes out of it too. There's the energy carried by the photons. So the blue light creates more energy per mole. So you get 274 kilojoules out of the blue, and the red's only 181. So if you might think, oh, wow, look how high it is in the red compared to the blue. Yeah, that's the reason. Well, not a, that's a reason why it still works pretty well. That's the different pigments that are in the colors, and that's the wavelength that it appears at, those colors. No, I'm not going into much detail. Different photosystems. That's cool how, I'm not going to go into that actually. It'll bore you, I reckon. This is a good one I want to end on. This is the solar energy distribution from the sun. So if the plant was outside, you can see it doesn't just get this visual range that we have indoors. It gets all of this bonus, which is your infrared that you're talking about. So it still does something, but it's very little compared to what the visual range is. But this is the range that still puts it to sleep. You can see all the different gases that have an effect on it as well, which is the yellow bits. It's pretty cool. And this goes right up to 3,000 nanometers into the thermal range, where it's just there's too much heat and does nothing. There you go. There's your actual infrared radiations. It's from 700 above, like that first graph showed. I think that's enough. HMO. Appropriate UV light treatment increases plant yield in some species. Now, well, definitely it increases the secondary plant production in medical cannabis. Right, that'll do. Type in red. Okay, let someone else ask a question. No, I'm out of questions. The show's going to end unless there's going to be a question. So I'm happy to answer, mate. It's all up to you. You're carrying it at the moment. Otherwise, all the questions will have to wait till next week. Do you have any questions, Aaron Woodley? And Aaron, if you come around like a few shows in a row, I'll see you here, and then I'll give you a little monitorizing stamp thing. you know how you get monitorized. So come around a few times and say good day, and then I'll give you that monitorizing thing. That's good. Yeah, that would have been a good. I had one on a. I shouldn't show that now. There's one next week on the study done on the lighting spectrum effects on cannabis. No, I won't do that today. Wait for another week. Getting a bit low on material at the moment. Hoping that you cool folk can suggest some things and keep the show going a bit. So I'm running a bit dry. My studies doesn't start up till the end of this month. My plant breeding course. I can't wait to start. Plant breeding and biotechnology. It's quite good. Jono asks, Lightpa, how much is too much? You'll know too much when it starts to bleach. So when let's see if I can get a photo for you. Where would be my bleaching? Actually, I was going to make a video on that, so it's in the video section. Videos, edit. Here it is. Look at them all. Where is the bleaching? Here we go. Yeah, I'll just show you this. You're going to get a sneak peek into the video if I ever make it. All right, share screen. So there's a few reasons why to not have too much highlight. Is the cells in the plants, they see it and they can't use all that energy. And their appearance is a bleaching effect where all of the chlorophyll pigments, they don't absorb all the chlorophyll in it. They just don't use it. So it might look pretty like that. You think, wow, look at this white bud. How rad's that? But it has to dry. And when it dries, it doesn't dry white. It dries brown. So that's an example there. This is pineapple chunk at day 50. So it's fully done because it's had that early finishing gene, a dominant ELF, early flowering gene, ELF3 to be precise. But and photo-respiration is another way. So if it's too much input on the cells, they respire and it gets too hot around the area and they switch off and they don't. I wonder if I can show that. I'll have a look just in case. I'll have a squiz first. Here we go. See what this is. Day 6. What is that? That's in Canada. Okay, here you go. I'll give you a look at this. Present. Jono says, I thought I had an albino OG. No, mate. It means you've reached your maximum light output. So raise the height or turn it down. So here's a little test run in Canada with these lights, with this new light, and you can see the bleaching there. So that means that the light, there was too much PPAR, PPFDs was too high. So it all looks pretty, but that's what happens. It's not real focusing. I'll fast forward a bit. Oh, that's the other one. No, here we go. Yeah, see how nice it looks. It's still smokable. There's no problems about it. It's still got all the trichs and stuff on it. So that secondary metabolite profile is still very high, which is what we're really mainly interested in. Oh yeah, and the light works really good. It has good penetration, which is what you want to see. Some lights aren't powerful enough to get down the bottom, so this light test worked. Oh no, it makes it. Oh Jesus! All right, that'll do. and it's the photo respiration. Do you want me to talk about that? So it's either, it sounds like if your light was too close, or if you've got a new light, that's why you've got your bleached bud. And that tells you that, yeah, to raise it up a bit or to turn it down, and it'll fix that. And get a temperature gauge just under the light too, and make sure that the temperature is not getting too hot, because if you've got them too close, that might be getting the temperature up where they're going to respire, and it's the photo respiration. Yeah, I'll show you that. Still in that same section. No, come on. Come on. Photo respiration. So you'd like to see all this too. There it says. I got a whole, oh gosh. You're going to learn some stuff here by the look of it. Jono said, I called it the Black Albino. OG Kush. Oh, yeah. At least you know you got good lights, mate. But this is what you don't want, is it to have photo respiration. No. It's a necessary evil. It's where the temperatures are too high and the cell stops using oxygen and uses carbon dioxide through the enzyme rubisco. That's all. I'm not going to go into any more detail because it'll bore the shit out of you. And what it means is it slows its growth down. There's a better way to understand it. Photo respiration. Here you go. Discovery of photo. Okay, it's detailed. I thought there'd be a nice summary in easy terms. As oxygen concentration increases, the rate of photosynthesis decreases. So this occurs due to the phenomenon of photorespiration. So greater inhibition of photosynthesis by oxygen observed when light levels are saturated and CO2 levels are low. So yeah, because you know you've got to have your Lieberg's law of the minimum is whatever the lowest essential nutrient or beneficial nutrient element of the plant is how it will affect. So if you've got low CO2 levels that are around 400 ppm, the plant's going to struggle at high light levels. But if you've got CO2 levels of about 1200 ppm and high light levels, it'll work in sync a lot better, because you're only that's Lieberg's law of the minimum. But we're talking about photorespiration. I think that I hope that explained a little bit without going, because this is going to go into some heavy detail. I'm really confused fast. That's what I don't want to do. Time after the light off. That's pretty cool. Post-illumination burst of CO2. Oh, that's when, yeah, you turn your lights off and that goes up and you get that smell. I still haven't found out what that terpene is, the smell of it. That when your lights go off, what the smell is. But here, this shows the CO2 peak, which we knew. But yeah, like geosmin is the smell of good earth. Or petrichor is the smell of rain. So I just want to know what that was, the smell of the light going off like that. No, come on. Respiration, biochemical breakdown of the reserve food material to release energy. In plants, respiration takes place both in the light as well as dark, yes. That's why you get your growth. This photosynthesis doesn't stop when the light goes out. It continues from all of its storage. This can go into a bit conditions of photorespiration. Light intensity, like you've got temperature, high temperatures, that's above 35 Celsius or above 100 F. That's the Cannabin temperature. High O2 and low CO2. Yes. So why? So O2, which is 21% of the air, is more prevalent than CO2. So rubisco is the enzyme that reacts with the O2, producing that much energy, as well as the CO2. Rubisco, yeah, it's one of the only enzymes that can work off two different types, produce oxygen or cut. Anyway, see how it goes into detail? I didn't want to go into this much detail. Competition between the Calvin cycle when CO2 is abundant. Ooh, that's what you want. Anyway, that'll do, eh? Don't want to confuse the topic. Because there's quite a few slides on this one. See them all? So that'll do, eh? Do you have any help? The cool black helps, thanks. Hey, that's very nice to hear. As long as it helps, that's good, mate. Very happy to hear. But yeah, that's the temperature thing. Really stops growth through that photorespiration. But at least now, I'd say it's not a temperature. What that bleaching is from the light, the photons too high. Yeah. So what I did to fix mine with those photos, I'll show you again. So what I did was that as soon as I saw it, I noticed it. I went, oh, okay. And then I backed the light off a little bit, probably put it up another 2 or 3 inches. And then if it continued to grow, I would back it off a little bit more. And then, yeah, and it stopped. So, because I've had it a few times. And yeah. Do you know another cool thing? If you get it and cut it off, if you cut this off at day 20 or day 30, it stops it from growing vertical and it grows out the sides. That's a bit of a trick if you want chunky little nugs. Day 20 or day 30, at the latest day 30, cut them. Cut all the pistils in half, the anthers. I made a video on that. If you want to see the results and see how it actually works, and you get these little tiny chunky nugs that they're fat as, like probably, I don't know, many fingers wide, but they're not tall. So you can just do it on one plant. Just do one at a time. Just see for the experiment. It's just good fun. Yes. Well, it's nearly an hour. Thank you, John Who Cares, for asking those couple of questions and filling in the time, mate. I appreciate that. I like to share. I haven't shared slides for ages. And I like going through because it refreshes my knowledge as well, so I can keep up to date on the figures and stuff, and so I enjoy doing that sort of thing. So I would like more questions from anybody, and no question is a dumb question. I'm not one of those persons who goes, oh, you should know that, or this is easy to understand. No, if that person's asked a question, that's because they don't understand it, and I'm not going to make fun of that. I'm just going to answer it as easy as the way for them to understand it. So don't feel intimidated or odd for asking questions, because we all had to start somewhere. And at least here, you can guarantee you're going to get a legit, honest answer. I'm not going to paint it this way or that, or say you're going to grow my way to get results. I'll just tell you how it works, and you can do it your own way. Just give you the little bit of knowledge that you need to get you through that section. And you can do it, because it is a plant. And remember all the essential elements. It's 3 of the 17 come out of the air, and that makes up 95% of the plant. So only 5% comes from elements that we input or it needs to find through organic supplements, because that's the best way. You build your soil up, you build your substrate up, and then you only have to use water. Or if you see a deficiency, you can just foliar feed for a deficiency. So it's a good organic approach, and it's sustainable for good old Mother Earth. Well, it's nice. I don't know if you're cricket fans, but I like the cricket. Woohoo! It's cricket season, so it's fun. It's a good sport, peaceful sport. Here we go. Jono says, you asked for it, LOL. I was asking lots more. I will be asking lots more. Oh, okay, cool. Yep, write it down. And I'll be happy to explain a few. We've gone for an hour today, but I'm happy to, I don't mind if we can go a little bit longer if you've got another question to help you immediately. But in general, I'm always open to help those who need it. Definitely. So I suppose I could nearly retitle today a bit about bleach buds and PPFD photorespiration, because I did show a few slides, and for anyone who was interested in that, they might find that knowledge helpful, like Jono did. So yeah, thank you for helping to retitle the show, because next week's will need a lot more help too. That'll be, I can probably go into show a lot more slides though, because it is a very general topic on pathogens. And I did a course called I'm going to look it up. Yeah, I'll show you. Diseases and pests in horticultural crops, I think it was called. No, where's study? Where's D? Yeah, diseases of horticultural crops and their management. So there's quite a few lectures on here that I could maybe go into a bit of detail on just different types of things, even though there's not this is agriculture, so that's what I have to study to pull cannabis out of it, because it is a plant. So this touches specifically on other things. But if you go into the tomato section, tomatoes are pretty similar to cannabis, so you can they get similar diseases. So that's just an example. There's probably a few in the organic farming and sustainable agricultural production. Those two courses were very relevant, and they had a lot of biofertilizers and remedy ways to fix things, which I can possibly elaborate on. Yeah, yeah. Plant pathology and soil health. Yeah, it's a little bit on it. That wasn't the best of courses, but I could elaborate on viral diseases and bacterial diseases, those 4 types, fungal. Yeah, and biofertilizers, how to do it, how to fix it with IPM. But anyway, that's not next week's. I'll talk about that then. But that's what I have prepared for next week. So yeah, you can ask plenty of questions on that then, that's for sure. Oh, one more he's got. What does it mean when your plant isn't taking water? That means that the substrate, and if it's not taking water and it's not wilting, your substrate might be too moist and can retain water really well. You want to find out your dryback period. So your permanent wilting point is the time and which the plant, I can show some slides in there actually. Permanent wilting point, what section would that be in? Because this is pretty important, permanent wilting point. I've got courses, I'll see if I can go into plant science. So I've got a water section. Here we go, let's share it and see if I've got something in here that's cool. So you want to let it dry back really and find out what the permanent wilting point is. And then that'll give an understanding how your substrate's working. This is water, pressures, and flushing in here. So I just thought this might be the right place to start. Not bleaching anymore. Oh, I don't want to. No, we're talking about. No, that doesn't really help. It's 3 ways it can walk. This is how it gets in this. The water transports through 3 ways in the plant. through the apoplast, the symplastic, and transport. It's really through the two. Apoplast is through the apoplast in between cells, and symplast is through the cells. So if it hasn't got any liquid to transport, it goes wilt and limps. And that's what you want to find out. More than 95% of water absorbed by root system is operated by passive forces. Okay, this is into a bit more detail. Pathways of water movement in plants. There are those three pathways that went into. Oh, there's a fourth way. No, there's not. There's only three. What's four saying? What's there, a new one? So, there are three. Permanent wilting point. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, isn't that amazing? How that water can get to the top of a 10-meter or 30-foot tall tree just from the roots, because it absorbs through the roots and goes out through the xylem, hydrothodes, and evaporation. That's what happens when it leaves. See how water leaves the cell and it reduces in size, and that's why it wilts, because all the plants are linked with cells, so they reduce. I've gone a bit too much detail on what your question is. I'm sorry, I realise that. There's your pores in your plants. Some ones that people don't really talk about much. All right, this isn't really, oh gosh, it's a bit too technical. It should be I'll see if you've asked any more questions on top of that. In my study, I've got one. Oh, thanks. Does that mean that you're happy with my answer, or does that mean that you still want me to elaborate more? Because I don't mind elaborating more to explain to you what it is, not just the answer. I like to explain to you, so that means that gives you an understanding on the whole topic as well, so you can make detailed decisions for yourself, having the knowledge. But in general, what does it mean when the plant isn't taking water? The roots absorb water to distribute it through the plant. So it means you might be pouring it in, and I know where the chart is. Permanent wilting point. It's in study. I know where it is. I'll find it for you, mate. It's a few of these courses talk about permanent wilting point. I just had the picture in my head. The chart. Is it from? It's micro irrigation. There it is. Micro irrigation engineering. That course. Yep, it's in here. Permanent wilting point. It's a hang of a lot of slides now. I suppose I'll share it with you. You'd be interested. You're worried you're overwatering. It's exactly what I thought. Yep, you have to let it dry back. Wait until it wilts. You want to see it limping a smidgen, and then you've known that it's cool. Then you'll know, oh shit, all right. And then you'll lift the pot as an example, and you go, okay, it's this heavy. Then you'll put your 1 liter or half liter, or it depends on how size your pot is, into it. Then you feel the weight, and you go, oh, okay. But remember, because you've made it so it's so dry that there's going to be hydrophobic spots in the soil now. So you might want to put a soil conditioner just to wet it, like a soil wetting agent, like humic acid or something like that, just to wet it. You went from, I'm sharing this, or I'll stop sharing for a sec because there's a bit of an addition to what he's saying. John went from 12-hour cycle to 24, and now 30 to 48 hours between feeds. Yeah, well, you have to feed the roots of the plant, not the soil. So if you've put a little plant in a big massive pot, you'll still only give it 100 mils of water. You have to feed the roots. So if anything, yeah, overwatering is a bad way to starve it, because oxygen is 10,000 times slower to get it through water than through the air, and that plants get oxygen through the roots. So if you've got it filled with water, it can't breathe properly. So you'll starve it in that way. You'll see miniature buds. You got to learn its dryback period is the easiest way to say it. Wait till it gets very dry till you see it wilt, and then you'll know, okay, cool. You use a wetting agent, humic, good. Humic. What else can I say? You got to wait for it to dry back, and then you'll see the plant wilting, and then you'll know, all right, this is how heavy it's got to be before, and then just a little bit heavier than that is when you want to re-water it or re-liquidize it next time. Every feed, is this wrong? Use humic every feed. Humic's all right, but you don't want to be putting nitrogen or anything like that every feed, or phosphorus and stuff. I try and give the organic approach, but if you've got a synthetic feed program, you'll have to go by their program, and generally you'll go a feed water, or a feed water schedule. So every 2 to 3 days with a synthetic program, you generally do a feed water if you're running CO2, or if you're not running CO2, you might do a feed water program. So every 2 or 3 days, you'll give it food, a liquid ppm up to whatever it says, and then 2 or 3 days later, you'll give it a water, and then 2 or 3 days later, you'll give it a liquid. So that's, yeah, and you can use a bit of a rule. Is TITS, TITS is easy to remember, and it's Tuesday irrigation, Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday. So you can always know that it's TITS. When do I feed? TITS, if you don't write it down, because some people just don't. I always do. But then you'll know, all right, shit, is it either Tuesday or Thursday, or is it on Saturday or Sunday? So it's just something to remember off your head. But I reckon, yeah, you've overwatered it, mate, and you've got to learn you're going to get a lot more yield when you learn its program, when you learn the cultivar on how, and it's more so the substrate. If you're finding that you're only feeding you're liquiding every 5 days, that might be too much. So you might want to add, next time you make some pots up, you might have put more aeration into those pots, and that's going to allow it to dry out faster and more oxygen in there faster, which will, yeah, be a lot more beneficial, because remember, 95% of the plant's elements that it needs to grow is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and that comes from the air. So you want to give it as much opportunity and access to the air as possible. People just load it up with nutrients and stuff, but that's 5% on what it needs. And you're going to see a deficiency in the leaves if it's not happy with one of the elements. So it's, yeah, learn your deficiencies in your leaf colors is a good way to work with the plant and bring out the secondary metabolite profile. Because if you're always bottle feeding it, it's always ready to just take what it needs. And it won't go through its processes where it has to fight for things, pushing out more secondary metabolites. Okay, thanks. I'm in cocoa perlite. Cocoa can still get fully, you can still overwater in cocoa. Perlite would run through it. But if you've got cocoa, remember, it gets heavy. So I just learn its dryback period. You might have roots that are growing oddly in there. The cocoa might be too dense and not very fluffy. It might have too much compaction to it and holding and retaining water in certain sections, because different qualities of cocoa that you get. And I hope that you did a flush test on your cocoa before you used it. You put water through it and test it with a ppm meter, and it's got to be under 100, because otherwise it'll just contain too much salts. You don't know what those salts are. It could be harmful ones, pesticides, anything. So flush it, and it always wants to be out 100 ppm, because I've seen cocoa come out extremely high, up near 1,000. So if you go to use it, plants die straight away because seedlings can't handle it. They get burnt, they shrivel. That's the results of that. I reckon it's been a good help. What do you reckon, Jono? And everybody else? I hope everybody else grabs some information from that too. I appreciate, Jono, for all your questions. And please ask more next week. I like going into detail and helping. So it gets you a better understanding. And remember, no question is a dumb question. I'm not that person to treat it like that. It shits me when people do that, because otherwise, why is that person asking? If they're dumb, well, don't treat them like that. They want a better education. People pay out in it. It's not my attitude. All right. The cricket's back on. It's been going for an hour 16. I reckon it's been good for today. What do you think? Oh, good. I heard your nice remarks. Thank you. It's pre-EC. It's pre-EC. Well, you've got an EC, you divide by, is it, look up on the computer. EC is, I think it's 800 or 1 point, it's 800. 1 EC equals 800 ppm, I think. Get yourself a blooming $5 ppm meter, Jono. You have to afford, it's an essential tool for any grower. Buy 2 of them because one might fail. So if you go online on your favorite shopping site, they're dead set. You can get them for $5 each, and buy 2 because you want to make sure that you can check both to make sure that they're pretty close to each other, so you know that they're accurate, that your tool is. You'll be spending, I don't know how much it is in Thailand, but you'll be, honestly, it's 5 Australian bucks gets you a ppm meter online. And that's, yeah, a tool that you'll be thankful for, because you just use it for when there's problems only, when you're fault finding. It's good to know what's going into your plant and what's coming out of it. Then you know, kind of guess the conditions with only this little cheap meter. It's a good little diagnostic tool. Hey, good on you. Hey, nice to hear, Dave, 1969. Thanks for your positive energy. That's good. Yeah, it was a bit interesting, a bit nicer today to show some more slides. Thank goodness. I like doing that. You have a ppm meter. Oh, good. Yep. Well, learn to use it. Learn to test your runoff and your inputs. So if you've made up a solution, you dip your pen in before you give it to the plants, and you write down what that number says. And then when it runs off, collect the runoff, stick the pen in the same thing and write down the RO. Or, you know, I usually go RO equals underneath it, and then you'll know, cool. So is the plant, is it too high? Because it might be coming out way too high, which will mean that you'll have to give it a bit more water to get it down. Because remember, you've had a saline problem in the past. You've got that saline cultivar, which is saline resistant. You could say above 5,000 ppm, which is unheard of, fully unheard of, mate. I love those genetics. So it's, yeah, your input's 1200 ppm. That's about normal. And then you want to check your output to see if, make sure it's going to be about under 2000. If you're putting that in, that's what you'd expect. And if it's coming out about 3,000 or 4,000, you know, next you've got to give it some water. And you can always flush it down. Remember, if it's too high, you just give it water, test, water, then test the runoff, and keep doing that until it's under 1,000. And then go and give it a feed on top of that. That's how you fix up that saline problem. He says, yes, I believe it's because I'm feed 1,200 every time. Yeah, well, you don't need to do that. That's wasting nutrients, and it's just you're putting too much salt build-up in the soil. Remember, a lot of the substrates have, phosphorus. It comes out of DNA, a lot of it. It's bound in that, and after it's broken down by phosphate solubilizing bacteria, it's made available to the plant in the H2PSO4 there's two forms of phosphorus. So we want H2PSO4 one, and it's retained in the substrates quite often. If you're using biofertilizers, which have microbes in them, they'll die and they'll sit there, and that's a good source of your phosphorus down the track, as an example. So you don't have to keep putting fertilizer and nutrients in every single time. Try and limit it. Try and get down where you just you build your, next time you might put in a few biofertilizers, or you might put in some neem tea or something like that, which might give a lot of beneficials, more benefits than just the fertilizer itself. Anyhow, that's next. That's pretty tech. I know you're on the synthetic feed program, so I won't try and sway you. But for everyone else, that's what I advise, because it's organics. It's helping them. Anyway. Yep. So I think that's pretty good. There's no more questions coming through. Thanks again. We've been doing that. Can we do a feeding session time? Yeah. Do a feeding session time? Yeah. Write down a few questions that you'd have on feeding, and I'll go into as much detail as I can. And it's all to do, get yourself one of those, the best thing that I've found is one of those calendars with big squares in it. And if you haven't got that, get some A4 paper with blank sheets of it, like you know how you just recycle, so you turn one page over. Get 12 of them and rule squares into it, and there's your calendar. And I've done that quite a few times because it allows for big squares, and with those big squares you can put little jots and notes in there. I cloned this time, this was the runoff, this was the solution, this is the biofertilizer, this was a little test that I've done, what temperature is it now, what did I change here, you know, those types of things. So it's good with that. Then you can refer to what, because upon harvest you might think, wow, why is this such a bonus? Why is it such a healthy thing? And you look back and think, oh, look, I did that differently this time. And it's documented. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I think the calendar is the best thing that I can go off with your feeding, probably. And then, yeah, we'll go into the, all right, I'll write down on my, just for you, John, here you go. Where's my live shows before I end lives? So put down here, Virgin comes aboard. Okay, that's in 2 weeks, and I'll add to that too, feeding. Time, amount, when. There you go. That's in the heading for a few weeks' time. So feeding, time, amount, when, comma. There you go. So because next week is the pathogens and microbes problems. So the week after, when I'll be talking about the virgin, did you guys see that? Actually, I'll give you a sneak peek because it's bloody unbelievable. So I'll talk about that, Jono, in a few weeks' time for you. Okay, thanks. I'll put a mask on if I can come on the show. Oh, righto. Yeah, you have to watch no swearing on this show, that sort of stuff too. But yeah, you're welcome to do that. I suppose we can keep it limited to what you show me, because I don't like any knockbacks and strikes. It's hard enough getting the audience that I do get for this show. It's not very big. So if I get knockbacks, it just makes it so much littler. This is Virgin. Check all. They're out. How rad's this? Virgin Airlines take off. See, just like Lego, they're getting ready for it. How rad is that? So that'll be on your episode, Jono, the one for the feeding session times. Cool. Okay. Yes. And Dave, if you've got any problems, anybody else who wants to ask, I'm all ears. I like helping. It gives me like a bit of satisfaction when I'll press the end soon. It'll be sort of worth it. I'll feel good. So that's what I like to get out of the show. Not much else comes out of it. So at least I can help. It's really nice. So thanks again for listening. I appreciate all your comments and feedback and everything. Good on you. I'll see you all next week. Happy breeding, happy growing, good health to you all. Bye-bye.